Matt, so you're playing the Maui Classic again, apparently.
Yeah.
Gonzaga's not the same team you saw earlier this season, either of you guys, but what have you seen from them so far? I know you haven't really gotten into it.
I did not watch the game other day. I try not to watch the game because you'll get caught up into it and you won't watch the people you're playing, right? It gets going, it gets close, and there's no way you're going to turn away from it. But I follow the score. I look their stuff up. I follow them throughout the year. Their rotation is shorter, and they're playing bigger. And so they're playing Anton Watson at the 3 or Greg at the 3. I don't know how they are actually doing that schematically, but they're playing a bigger lineup. And then their guards have always been really good. Hickman, Nimhard. So they're well coached. One of the best coaches in the country. We've faced them back-to-back years, but we faced them back-to-back years early in the season. I think this will be, a different challenge for us.
Coach, that 17-0 run in the first half, what was the difference in that time frame that got you guys going?
Yeah, getting stops, just being able to make it difficult. They did a couple things that we hadn't seen with a couple big ball screens that bottled us up. Martinez played really well, to start the game. And then we just started to establish Zach, there in the post. And then we're able to get stops and push the basketball. Trey Kaufman had a good start to the game. He got on the glass. So if you can establish Zach and then you can rebound the basketball and then get in transition, it's going to be a pretty good recipe for success.
Seems like Hamden's done kind of got that run going there.
Yeah.
That he threw down. What have you seen from him just in terms of earning those minutes and then in that moment?
Yeah, he's been great, man. He's really bought into defending. And that's really the main thing when you come off the bench, to really help our team. When you come off the bench, take care of the basketball, defend, and then everything else, like whether you can get offensive rebounds or you can get out in transition or knock down some shots. So the spacing is so important for us. So like him and Miles really give us a lot of spacing, and what they're able to do. I thought Miles did some really good things for us.
You guys don't seem satisfied at all, this team. These guys are all very business-like. Has that been a point of focus for you?
Yeah, no question. I just think, the focus has lied in what we've had to sit in. Both coaching and playing, it's hard. You have goals to win and what we went through last year. But, don't feel sorry for yourself and get better and keep improving, because everybody that you play, the game ended the way it did because we respected our opponent and we played hard. We were ready for them. We knew they could beat us. And our guys, went out and put it together. But it's a challenge. It doesn't get easier, right? And, it gets harder.
Not the first 4 minutes of the second half, you blitzed them and put it out of reach. How important was it coming out of the locker room to keep that momentum?
Yeah, that first 5 minutes is always important. You kind of look at that Kansas-Gonzaga game, kind of the same way, right? It was tied at half, and Kansas is up 1, and they just pushed that game out. We're up 16. We're very fortunate to score that last basket because we really didn't execute. And, so you have it at 16, I said, they said, be a shame if you go to that first media timeout and it's around 10. But instead, we get into the 20s real quick. And, kudos to our guys because they made the nice reads and they went at them and they stayed aggressive.
Coach, Trey was talking about how you told him to be more aggressive after the first round game. How did you see that come to life today?
Yeah, really after the first half. I didn't think he was very good in that first half of our first game. And it wasn't from his effort. It was just like he seemed like he was getting his hands on a lot of basketballs, but he wasn't grabbing them with 2 hands. Then in the second half, he played great. He just has to believe in himself and go get basketballs and post up strong and just kind of take what the defense gives him. And I kind of talked about Lance Jones about that. Sometimes, Trey got 13 shots today. It might be the most he's had all year. And sometimes that's going to happen. But sometimes you're going to get 2 or 3. And the same thing with Lance. You're not always going to get a lot of shots. We're not going to have predetermined thoughts. We play through Braden's ball screens. We play through Zach's post-ups. We got a lot of different stuff that we run. We get the ball to Fletcher, sometimes working downhill. We will try to bring him off some pins at times. But there's times he doesn't get a lot of shots. So it's just, really trying to get into that bonus, trying to establish Zach as much as we can and just kind of do it differently.
How did Trey positively impact the win today?
Well, just his rebounding and scoring. He was just active. It's if you want to give him a lot of attention and stuff and leave Zach one-on-one, then you're picking your poison. So when those guys are kind of half helping, and the thing that happens, in that second game is those guys aren't going into the TCU game thinking about Zach Edey. But now they get that good win against TCU, and now it turns to it, and you got to think quickly about how you're going to deal with him. And he's different than everybody else in the country. If you want to stay one-on-one, that's fine if you want to double him. That's fine with us also. But when you got a guy like Trey that's weak side and you're doubling and he does shoot it, you're going to get a lot of opportunities. But Trey got a little bit different, the whole game. He got in transition a couple times. It was good to see.
What's the most impressive thing about what Lance has been able to do in these first 2 tournament games and how he's really positively impacted this?
Yeah, I thought he's been good defensively, especially today. I thought Brown's a hell of a player, and he really makes those guys go. Even though the big kid was MVP of their league, he really does a good job of the ball screen action. I thought Lance did a good job of picking him up full court, not letting him get those kick-ahead passes, and just staying with him the whole game. You kind of saw there at the end how dangerous he is. He made a couple really nice plays.
Commonalities between your program and Gonzaga in terms of?
I would say size. A lot of times when you have big kids that are out there, North Carolina, Gonzaga, Purdue, Wisconsin, Michigan State, I'm probably missing a couple there that have had traditional bigs through the years. And I think that's where, we have that. I think the ability to play in the half court and the ability to play in transition also. I don't think they get the credit for playing in the half court. I don't think we get the credit for playing in transition.
Matt, when you committed to playing Trey and Zach next to one another this offseason, it felt like you were just trying to get more offense on the floor for this particular time of year. Is that starting to pay off for you?
No question. Yeah, obviously it did today. I thought Trey in the second half, like I said in the first game, was really there. If you have a good team and you can't score 60 points in the NCAA, it's frustrating. And if you had a bad offense and you had a great defense, you'd understand it. But that's how we won. We grinded it out. But that wasn't our case, last year. We had a pretty good offense. Not as good as this year's. But I just said, hey, man, we got to get better offensively. We got to put more skill out there. We got to get different looks out there. So our ability to play Trey and then to play Mason Gillis and the way how different they are is really good. Because Trey's a bruiser and he can go down there, but he's also skilled where he can make plays. Well, Mason can drag people out and make threes. And so that balance with Zach, I think, really, really helps. But that's all we've really tried to kind of go to. It doesn't mean we don't emphasize defense, right? But just putting that skill out there and trying to keep developing that, because you got to be able to score. Like when we went to the Elite Eight and had to play Virginia, obviously Carson Edwards, went crazy and made shots. But the game before that, we scored 99 points. We score over 100 today. You've got to score the basketball. And there's some games the ball's not going to go in. And if it can't go in, then you got to be able to grind it and guard and get rebounds and take care of the ball so you can. But you obviously want that balance and you want to put as many weapons out as you can.
You joked about Johnny Hill not trying to keep him out of coaching.
Right.
How much work goes into the guys around you, and what's it feel like to have assistant coaches and head coaches, former player and coaches all of this?
Yeah, it's rewarding. I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I do try to stop players from going to coaching. But I always say just have a hell of a life and get a job and get Colts tickets and enjoy yourself. Why put yourself? People don't understand. If you're 25-5, you're miserable those 5 times. You're absolutely miserable. It sits on you. People around you that you love, you're not fun to be around. No one enjoys it. The kids look at you like, what the hell is his problem? Michigan State beat us by 2. That doesn't make any sense. Why would you be mad? You know what I mean? But you are. That's the way it is. You live with it, and you just have kind of a one-track mind. But no, it's rewarding if they understand. They're there for them. Right? You're there for your players. You're there for the program. You're a lot smaller than you think you are, and you're a lot bigger than you think you are. So just keep things in perspective and understand, what the mission is.
And how have Miles
seen from Miles Coleman defensively?
He's made a lot of improvements. He's gotten a lot better. He needs more of an opportunity. It's tough when you got a lot of guys, with it. But he's kept a positive attitude. He's continued to work. And you see when he gets out there, he can make things happen.
Just the combination of him and
Have there been
Cam.
specific areas or things that have stood out to you here over the past few games with him?
Really on the ball, just containing the dribble, taking guys out of rhythm, and then understanding what's going on with different actions. It's those quick turnarounds. Do you really know what they're doing? He's much better in those areas, but he really hasn't been bad throughout the year. He just hasn't gotten the opportunities to be on a deep team.
What's been the evolution with the rotation, with how deep you started and how that was such a talking point?
Yeah, I've went with Cam and Miles here, just trying to get as many guys that, give that athleticism, but also give that skill level, to where they're going to stretch it. And when guys overdo things with Zach or they overdo things with Braden, now we got spacing if they want to do those things. And now you got some guys that can step up and make those shots.
Coach, most points in program history in March Madness, tied for the most margin of victory. How do you use that as momentum going through the tournament?
It's really just a different game the next game. It's good. You feel good about yourself, but the next game will be a different game. Like you got to find that momentum and that rhythm, within that game. And it took us a little bit of time today. You see that, but it also can go the other way. You can play well to start a game, and then you can get into one of those ruts. So you just got to stay with it and stay process-based.